today hosting this afternoon's question and answer session and interview. Please make them both feel very welcome, Martin Rowe and our very special guest, Darren Brown.
Hello. Well, a very good afternoon. Hello, everybody. Sorry we're a little bit late. We've come direct from the engine room.
Yes. It's exciting if you get a chance. Actually, I don't suppose you can get down there, because it's amazing. Runs the entire length of the ship, and felt a bit like the Queen, so it was nice.
Yes, it's the way that, you know, when you come onto these ships, you've only done this twice. This is in your second cruise, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah. But it's lovely, isn't it? I guess some of you're probably a mix of people that have done a few cruises and a few that have maybe just here and never done it before. How many of you just never cruised before like this at all? Come just to see me. That's so lovely. It's so nice. I've heard a few people say that, and it's just the loveliest thing. So thank you very much if that's the case. Yeah, it's amazing. It's just the loveliest, friendliest group of people. You're all really lovely. The staff are all really lovely. The crew and crew, I suppose, is the correct term, not staff. Well, and the staff. The staff are horrible. The crew are lovely. It's just amazing. It's just such a lovely, friendly environment. So I did this a couple of years ago on the Aurora, and just had such a great time. So come back again. Arcadia's a bit nicer, I think. So you're on the right one.
And you say you almost like being treated like the Queen. It's lovely to have everyone sort of fawning over you, isn't it? Because did you realise that, you know, sort of everybody here was coming specifically, you know, to see your wonderful person?
Well, the first time I got, because on the previous, on the Aurora, I just got offered in an email, you know, would you like to do a gig on a cruise ship? So yeah, that sounds fun. Never done that before, so I presume, you know, there'd be lots of acts, and I'd be one of them. And then it turned out that once I said yes, they then advertised it as a Darren Brown cruise, which was a bit frightening. I thought, God, there's going to be 2,000 fans, and I'll be on a boat and I won't be able to get away. And it was amazing. It was such a treat. Yeah, it's quite a nice little. It's just a lovely little treat. So thank you very much for doing that. Thank you.
So obviously, you know, we've seen you on TV, we've seen your television specials, but kind of originally, you know, way back when, you weren't even going to be a magician, were you? You kind of had ideas of maybe going into hypnotism originally.
Well, yeah, I was studying law and German at Bristol University, and realised very early on I didn't want to be a lawyer or a German, as it turned out. And I saw a hypnotist in my first year who did a really good show, and it was not embarrassing people. It was kind of grown up and you know, wasn't an embarrassing show. So I learned how to do that, and I decided that was going to be what I was going to do. So I spent the whole of my first year learning that, and put on a show at the end of my first year, which was a terrible show thinking back on it, but it was the first kind of attempt at doing that, and then I started doing close-up magic and sleight of hand and that kind of thing that you see kind of at the table in front of you, that kind of magic, and that was that. And then for 10 years I graduated, and then lived in Bristol for another 10 years, and was doing magic around tables in restaurants and at people's parties and that kind of thing, and I just earned a living doing that, and it was lovely. And then I'd written a couple of books for magicians and established my name in that world, in that sort of fraternity. And then when a TV production company were looking for somebody to do some sort of mind reading thing on television, as some of you will know David Blaine, the American guy who'd created a big splash, and I think I sort of owe it partly to him, because I think because of that there was an interest in finding new magicians and people here. So this mind reading thing came up, and because I was one of the few people that was kind of in that area doing that kind of thing, my name got brought up, and then it all kind of fell into place.
So obviously you started off as a hypnotist, then you did close-up magic. How did you get involved with the kind of the mind reading, mind control, all this neuro-linguistic programming and all of this? How did that sort of skills develop?
Well, it was just this kind of movement from one to the other. So the hypnosis came first, so that gave me an interest in sort of suggestion and influence and all the rest of it. I just found it so fascinating, and I think it is, and it's a shame, because most of the time you see hypnosis and it's just making people. I remember seeing one guy, you know, who's inviting people up on stage and saying, no, look, I'm not going to embarrass you. It's really important that if you come up here, it's like you're a guest in my home, and I want you to trust me, and I'm not going to make you do anything stupid. We're not here to laugh at you. It's a fascinating process, so please, I want you to trust me and sleep. When you wake up, I have a 50-foot penis, and you will be dancing on it. So that's the trouble, is that most of the time those shows end up like that. So it is a really interesting thing, and it does tend to get degraded. So that's how I began, was just with a real fascination for hypnosis, and then doing the magic. Well, I think what it was that to be a hypnotist full time, you have to get into that kind of embarrassing area, because that's you often just end up at those kind of gigs. So I started doing the close-up magic because that was something I could do in pubs and clubs and anywhere, where I didn't want to be doing hypnosis. I was just doing hypnosis for students, where I could kind of sort of lecture a bit about it and have questions and answers and so on. And so I was doing these kind of two things, magic and hypnosis, and I suppose my interest just naturally landed sort of between the two. So the magic I was doing just had this sort of leaning towards sort of psychological techniques or psychological sort of effects or tricks or ideas, and I kind of wanted to combine the two because I wasn't, you know, I was always doing one or the other. So yeah, so it kind of just led to this slightly more specialised route, which technically is called mentalism, but it's there's not more people. There are more people doing it now. I think probably since I've started doing it. When I started doing it, there were maybe 4 people that I knew who did it, and then you, because there aren't that many people doing it, you make of it what you will. So in a way, a lot of stage mediums could technically be called mentalists. Uri Geller could technically be called a mentalist, and a magician doing a magic trick but with a sort of mind-reading theme could also be called a mentalist. So it doesn't really mean much, only that you're taking this kind of mind-related theme. So yeah, so I found my way of doing it. There weren't many others, so I didn't really have any role models per se, so I just found my own kind of route, and now that's led to what I'm doing now.
So do you consider yourself a magician or a conjurer or a mentalist? What sort of title do you put on yourself?
I try and avoid it, because I think